Surprise, bitch. I bet you thought you'd seen The Last of Us. That's right. What's Your Favorite Scary Movie returns. And we're going to be bigger and better than ever. Your killer hosts, Caroline and Ian, and myself, Parker, dissecting the best and worst of horror once again in your ear holes. Of course, good things to those who wait. So mark your calendars for September 3rd, 2026, when we'll be screaming once again with new episodes in full video. For now, enjoy the greatest hits from our vault each week in August. To start, here's our review of I Know What You Did Last Summer, which we originally released on October 14th, 2019. Listening back, I am so filled with nostalgia for these little babies podcasting together. We really started to hit our stride and find our confidence in this period, so join me on this journey back to where we started. Let's grease those chainsaws before the buzz is back. Speaking of, you can help decide what we watch in our first return episodes. Head over to scarymoviepod.com to vote on our first new release review. It's a showdown between Victorian Psycho and the new Resident Evil. Don't miss your chance to be part of horror herstory. Now, enjoy this throwback episode. Take it away, baby Parker, Caroline, and Ian.
After abandoning their roommate this September, international podcast superstars Caroline and Ian met a tragic demise at the hands of a crazed superfan driven mad by their dreadful and ignorant opinions of classic horror films. They suffered torturous injuries.
How can the dead be truly dead when they still live in the souls of those who listen to their podcast? I'm reminded of this saying when I think back on the wonderful lives of Caroline and Ian's. They may have been scary movie noobs, but I cherish every... Oh, hello?
We're coming to get you, Parker.
Hello, Sydney.
Hi. Who is this?
It's your killer hosts. My name is Parker, your resident horror fanatic.
I'm Caroline, scaredy scream queen.
I'm Ian, scary movie skeptic.
And welcome to...
What's Your Favorite Scary Movie is a horror film podcast where we're on a journey to find our favorite scary movie one at a time.
Whether you hate them or love them, join us and discover yours.
Spoilers ahead, so plan your movie screening every weekend before the episode release.
Ah!
Oh my god. We're back. In our recording studio. A whole summer apart. And now reunited.
They've missed us.
And when I thought reunions, we had to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Absolutely.
Because you know what I want to know? What you guys did last summer.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
But more on that later. First, we got a whole movie to talk about. I Know What You Did Last Summer is an underrated classic from 1997, just 1 year after Scream. It was directed by Jim Gillespie. And you know what I want to know?
What?
How he's literally done something so famous and pretty much nothing else. He directed a movie called I, E-Y-E, I See You, with Sylvester Stallone from 2002. And Venom, not that one, but one from 2005. I Know What You Did Last Summer was written by Kevin Williamson, the man, the legend, who wrote Scream, Scream 2, Scream 4, and the creator of Dawson's Creek.
Huh.
Huh.
I Know What You Did Last Summer was based on the novel by Lois Duncan, a pioneer of young adult fiction back in the day, who also wrote many notable works such as Summer of Fear, Killing Mr. Griffin, and Hotel for Dogs.
This movie stars Jennifer Love Hewitt as Julie James. She was in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer
Really?
from 1998,
Mhm.
The Tuxedo in 2002, and Ghost Whisperer, the series.
I actually want to watch that.
Ghost Whisperer?
I still know what you did last summer.
Oh.
Mm.
We also have Ryan Phillippe as Barry Cox. He was in
Nice.
Cruel Intentions from 1999 and Gosford Park.
Gosford.
Gosford Park.
You've never seen Gosford Park?
No.
Me neither.
From 2001. Parker's favorite, Sarah Michelle Gellar, plays the role of Helen Shivers. She's obviously from Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Hell
the
yeah.
series. And also Daphne in the live-action Scooby-Doo's, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ah.
And also in Cruel Intentions from 1999. Fun fact, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Cruel Intentions actually share a producer. His name is Neil Moritz, who influenced the casting of the latter film.
Yeah, so that's why Sarah Michelle and Ryan Phillippe are the stars of the another 90s cult classic, Cruel Intentions, because they previously starred in this pup.
Last but certainly not least, we have Freddie Prinze Jr. playing Ray Bronson. He was also in the live-action Scooby-Doo's as Fred and in She's All That from 1999.
Mm-hmm.
The adorable husband of Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I wrote, they are so cute, so why don't you stick to the
So
script?
Parker thinks they're cute, obviously.
Oh, yeah, they're going strong, posting pics all the time.
But the cool thing about this is that they actually met on the set of I Know What You Did Last Summer, but didn't actually start dating until 3 years later and got married in 2002. Congrats.
They are so cute. And also, I wanted to note that this movie also features Anne Heche as
Molly or Holly Egan.
Melissa Egan.
Oh.
And she was also Marion Crane in the 1998 remake of Psycho. And then last, and yeah, pretty kind of least, Johnny Galecki, who plays Max and obviously is in The Big Bang Theory for, episode 1, 2. Is that thing still going and making the same jokes?
The IMDb summary reads, 4 young friends bound by a tragic accident are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town. The Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a 42%, the audience score is 40%, and the critics' consensus is, quote, a by-the-numbers slasher that arrived a decade too late. The mostly tedious I Know What You Did Last Summer will likely only hook die-hard fans of the genre.
It's a little harsh.
Yeah, but, puns. Hook.
Yeah.
I also noted that as of when I was doing this research on October 3rd, 2019, according to Box Office Mojo, I Know What You Did Last Summer is the 7th highest grossing slasher film of all time, and it has 2 sequels. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from just I think a year after this, so 98. And then I believe 2006, a sequel called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which I've heard both are not good, but I've heard the 2006 reboot is particularly bad. And then talks of a reboot Amazon TV series. So I don't love slasher TV series. I think Scream was not great, especially that tragic 3rd season. I think we'll see with American Horror Story. Slasher on Netflix was pretty good, but I think it's hard to pull off 8 hours of slasher stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah.
8 to 10 or however long people do. So, all that aside, what is your first initial gut reaction to I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I think all of the critic scores were pretty harsh because I enjoyed it. And maybe it's because we've been gone all summer and we just, haven't been back in the groove, but I really enjoyed watching this with you guys.
Yeah.
I would agree. I surprisingly enjoyed this little movie here.
Yeah. It's to go back to old habits, a pretty fun romp. Something that struck me about the Rotten Tomatoes consensus is it says that it's a decade too late. But I think if this movie had come out in the 80s, it would have been too soon. People wouldn't have been ready for some of the criticisms of slashers, that they don't go over the top, balls to the walls like Scream does, but they make some comments that maybe the 80s wouldn't have been ready for because the slasher formula hadn't been quite solidified. I think that to have an 80s callback in the 90s is not a decade too late. And we'll get more into later. I think it's really interesting when you think of this movie as a post-Scream slasher. But let's get into the actual movie first. Crunch the numbers.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
So yeah, getting into a bit of a scene by scene, what stuck out to you in this movie? What really hit your brain and won't get out?
Love the pageant scenes. Gotta say that.
Yeah. What? Any fashion critiques? She had a nice black sleek swimsuit, a modest one piece at the beginning, and then that green gown.
I did think to myself, her friends were commenting, she's so good at this. She was born for this, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at her compared to all the other girls and said, I wouldn't have chosen her as a winner.
What?
Yeah.
Well, and for context, we are speaking to a pageant connoisseur.
Yeah.
Caroline has won a few herself.
Yeah. I've judged too, and I wouldn't have chosen her, but it's fine.
But do you think you would have been swayed at all by the signature hair that we hear so much about throughout the movie? She had quite a luscious mane.
I think everyone else on stage did.
Bangs, a big bump, curls. It was kind of a Belle Beauty and the Beast style where there was a lot of volume on top and then a lot of length too.
One of the things that really irked me is I had seen the parody Scary Movie going into this movie. And like you mentioned, Parker, there were a lot of references to Scary Movie in this movie. So I knew what was going to happen on like a handful of the scenes before they started.
Yeah, that movie, the first one, obviously, it really slams I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I did in the, car wreck body moving scene. Did you guys ever watch that Black Mirror episode?
Oh, you mean the beginning?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Well, when we finally got to that point,
During
there was
the
a bit
titular summer.
There was a bit of a build up to it. But when we finally got there, did you guys ever see that Black Mirror episode where they hit?
Yeah.
And then they dispose of the body.
I was so upset by that scene. I was like, oh.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's a good episode, but
it's really intense.
But that's why I asked, because I also had watched that. I asked Parker during the movie, like, do you think this kind of thing happens more often than you seem to see?
I think I was saying to y'all that, especially as like high school aged youngins, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. And I probably would have been the Julie of the group, being like, we have to go to the police. Blah, blah. But
you told me you would have gotten rid of the body.
In high school, I did, in fact, one time I was reaching for a shoe in my back seat, and I accidentally drove into someone's yard and hit a trash can. and I drove away.
That's very different than a dead body.
Well, but smaller offense, but I had the same response that the characters did. It was like, get out of here.
I want everyone to take a second and just visualize that for a second. Him scrambling in the back, looking around,
For a shoe.
swerving left and
A
right.
jazz shoe.
Yeah, it was a shoe for a dance class. I think where that first scene really takes a turn, because watching it, the first time I saw this, I think I was in high school, but it probably inspired me to hit and run that trash can. But, it's all kind of like, okay, kids, accident goes wrong, whatever, seen it. What really, I think, takes it to a different level is when we find out the person they have hit and are trying to bury is alive. And y'all had some jumps at that beginning part where he reaches out and he grabs Helen's crown, her tiara, falls into the ocean, and then again he opens his eyes underwater.
And I knew it was coming,
Mm-hmm.
but I still jumped.
Yep. See, I didn't know it was coming. I was like, dead's dead. But you would have thought someone would have like checked a pulse or something.
No, well, they said, like, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't want your fingerprints on him.
Well, that makes you like wonder, is there a supernatural element to him?
I thought that because when they're moving the body and they like push it in and he just like kind of sinks right away.
And then he's underwater
Mm-hmm.
and he's alive. You're
Well,
not going to be alive underwater like that.
He could be.
last a second. I think what's really crazy is Barry out of the sunroof. They hit him and his whole body collides with Barry on top, and all he's got is some of the other guy's blood on him. I would think like a broken spine or something.
I thought that too.
That'd be a pretty intense
That was a big guy.
physical trauma. Yeah. Oof. But anyway, they get rid of it. Apparently in movies, not just horror, police are out of the question. So never call the police. Do you think they would have gotten off if they would have
Well, I think they were concerned because
drinking?
was involved, but Ray supposedly wasn't drinking
Yeah, that's what he
and
said.
he was driving. So my thought was, Barry, just kind of stumble off. You were never in the car.
Mm.
And then call the police. And then you're fine.
But it's Ray's fault to begin with.
Yeah, but
But it's a windy road. It's dark.
so I think they would have to do what Caroline said, because just the presence of alcohol,
Right.
I think could get them into trouble.
So if you're drinking, walk home, then call the police, and you're fine.
We'll never know because that's not what they do. Immediate off the top, though, I noted that Julie is making some astute observations about toxic masculinity that you can apply to the whole movie. Just talking about the urban legend, The Hook, which this movie is also, loosely based on.
So the boy and girl are making out, right? When they hear over the radio that this lunatic killer's escaped from an insane asylum.
That's not the way it goes. The boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this, scratching sound.
No, he's been decapitated. No, he was gutted with a hook.
She talks about castrating the killer and things like that. So already making comments that can be applied to the movie. And people say this movie isn't as meta as Scream, which it's not. But things like that. And later, Helen makes a reference to Silence of the Lambs when they're approaching the Egan house and Jodie Foster. So this movie may not be as over the top with it, but I think it still knows what it's doing in its homage. I just wanted to note that I think this movie's smarter than people give it cred for.
Well, and she says, Julie, in the beginning says,
Please. It's a fictional story created to warn young girls of the dangers of having premarital sex.
This movie is also, there's a lot of morality things in it about, these, how many times in Big Little Lies season 2 where they just like,
It's gonna get us. It's gonna get us all. What are you talking about? Why?
but, it's that same kind of story where untruths and division between people, breaks them apart and breaks you down. So you need to tell the truth. You need to have good friends, and don't drink and drive. The real star and MVP of this movie is Helen Shivers. I am obsessed with her. She is so cool. She's so pretty. She's so funny. And she has one of the best chase scenes in a slasher movie. Her inside of her family department store and then running back to the parade, super fun. and some great tension, being resourceful with things around her to try and get away to her best ability. However, when she is caught, she is like 2 inches away from that parade, and she looks back. What it doesn't like bother me that much, but what really would have like made me scream, imagine this. She keeps running, doesn't look back. She gets like 1 step into the parade, and maybe you see it from the wall. So you see her emerge from the alley. A hook comes around her and pulls her back in. That would have been crazy. Because it's like, oh, don't look back, just keep running, you know? But if they had done something where it's like she had just gotten there and then it's just like slurped back into that alleyway, that would have been wild and would have made it perfection.
Yeah, I mean, she gets out of that police car and like bolts. I was very proud. She runs to a place that she knows is safe, not just like running in circles.
And that bitch sister, she is never nice to her. Not once is there a nice moment between them.
You don't know their life. I do have to agree with you, though. I think the wedding shop, the wedding dress shop, and even on the boat, I think those are both very well done. What do you want to call it?
Chase
scenes.
scenes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they were resourceful.
I don't know. The boat was a little bit much for me.
But it's pretty fun.
She went
It
from
was like
segment to segment.
back and forth and just like open the
But
door
then
and scream so everyone knows you're there. Like
finding really creative ways, not the character, but the film finding such creative ways to utilize what's on that boat, I think was pretty cool. That ice room was pretty cool and she finds the dead bodies, so you have a little bit of a surprise there. Y'all jumped a lot of times in this movie, and I didn't expect, when I watched it a month or so ago to get ready for this, because I'm a professional, I was just like, oh yeah, this is fun. But y'all were like screaming and jumping, and
yeah,
I was surprised at how much it affected y'all. A scene that I noted, speaking of Helen, because this was criminal. You might have noticed she walks into her home pre-haircut, and she gets a Diet Coke out of the fridge. 1 Diet Coke, go fuck yourself.
I hate that scene.
2, she gets a glass. She doesn't put ice in it. She doesn't do anything. She just gets a glass.
and pours like 2 inches in.
She pours like 2 inches in, takes a sip, leaves it all. Are
America.
you kidding me? Wasteful.
Probably because it's a diet.
She's gotta stay slim and trim, guys.
1 sip to quench the craving, and then out of there.
Coca-Cola.
She had to put on that nice dress the next day. Come on, she can't be
that
bloating.
Dress is beautiful.
Coca-Cola execs were like, we paid for this ad spot, and all they did was take a sip.
I know. If it would have been like her, she pours the whole thing out and then is like chugging it, and she's like, oh my gosh, so good. Maybe.
Big burp afterwards and goes to bed.
And then she's like, Dad, pick up another 6-pack tomorrow. I can't get enough Diet Coke.
What if movies are like that?
Oh, they
like
are.
a whole
but like you saw she was holding that can like the
But like what if it was like
displayed.
basically like one full length ad after another for everything they use?
Yeah.
You say that, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Something else that really buttered my toast, if you know what I mean. She wakes up, realizes her hair is gone, and then that scream. Wow.
Could you imagine the emotions that would go through you if you woke up uninjured, but your hair was chopped?
Well,
and then you're like,
I can guarantee you I would not create something as beautiful as that scream.
It's like a form of like assault in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone was in her room watching her, and like
yeah, I would hate that.
that is worse than like actually being harmed.
Same thing at the end with Julie in the shower. Like she's getting ready for a shower and somebody was in that room watching her. You know, it's not quite as invasive because it's a public space, but still she's like a young girl naked in a room. And I mean, no spoilers for the second one, but perhaps, you know, it was a grown man in a shower room with her. Like that's spooky too.
I mean, if you want to watch, just let me know, and then I'll put on the show.
Ian, can you link your
tips.
OnlyFans account?
So the end.
Risky move having a slasher that we don't know, revealing a new person.
Well, and that's why when Julie finally makes it to the dock after like everything has happened and she sees Billy Blue on the boat. Well, I thought I had already come to the girlfriend who died with Egan and all of that. I thought that yes, the guy in the trench coat,
The slicker.
the slicker, was the girl who died's dad. But I thought that
What?
wait, hold on, let me get this right.
Succinct.
I thought that Ray was her brother.
Well, she had said earlier that when Billy Blue had come to visit her, that they had been an item for a second. So I didn't think that, but I think you could think that maybe Ray and Melissa had been involved, you know, and that could be a connection there. However, we learned that is not the case, and that it is David Egan's girlfriend's father who is the killer. I'm back and forth on if I think it's an effective reveal. I think they did enough to set up in our mind that we would know who he is when we get there, even though it's just on the cusp where I was a little bit confused, but by the end I'd gotten it together.
I think it does a good job of like slowly letting everyone figure it out. And then it's not dramatic when it's revealed because like then we're like, oh, okay, we get it. Duh.
Something that I thought was interesting that was brought up in an article in a Jezebel article. I could not get a good read on what this article was called because they should work on their website formatting a little bit. Anyway, but they were discussing I Know What You Did Last Summer. And they discussed how most slashers are, they have like a determined order or rank system for how people are killed. You know, you have a roster of characters, and usually from like least important to most important, they're killed throughout the movie. That's kind of the formula for a slasher. But in this movie, you have the 4 primary characters. I think Max's death counts. That's pretty good order. He's a not very important character. He dies towards the beginning to give us like a good thrill. Then we move on.
But also a main suspect.
A main suspect. But we have 4 characters that are our core cast. And they don't really do that good of a job of establishing why someone should die first. Not a criticism or anything, but I think each character kind of has even footing of importance. We just know that the movie is told from Julie's perspective. And they brought up an interesting point saying that although Ray actually hit the guy at the beginning, not David Egan, the other guy, they're still equally complicit in the secret and the cover-up. So there's still no like order that we should be like, okay, this is going to die next. He's going to die next. She's going to die next. So then it's kind of a mystery why Helen and Barry get the short end of the stick. They're the ones that die. And they were discussing how they thought it was upsetting that Helen dies because she's like, you know, apparently put on as like a shallow character. She cares about her hair and she wears like nice clothes.
Queen.
But she actually is a pretty fleshed out character in the movie. We see her developed independently and get a bit of a better grasp on who she is beneath the whole beauty queen thing. In Scream, Tatum is another one of my favorite characters, but her character development is strictly in relationship to Sydney. Although Helen has more superficial elements imposed on the surface, I think I have a better feel for her and want a little #justice for Helen. Even though Barry is kind of a douche, and I was not sad to see him go, Ray's kind of a douche too. And he lives because he's Julie's love interest. So the movie is kind of just like, I think maybe more thrilling even, because I never had a good read on why someone should die, so I didn't know who was going to die next.
Well, I could tell that Barry was going to die first. He was like the douchebag, the loud one in the accident, like the one that was drinking, and like that made sense to me.
Yeah, well, another thing is Julie has sex at the beginning of the movie, so another rule broken. So they also are all equally sinful.
Yeah, but they set her up to be like the smart one, going to law school, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, that's part of the problem. Get more woke.
There's still a difference between Helen and Julie. Yes,
So you're shaming Helen for caring about her
I'm
appearance.
saying in the like stereotypical way, Helen is like the blonde beauty queen, wants to be an actress, and Julie is very much so stereotypically like the brunette who's smart and like is going off to college.
Yes. But through the dialogue, I still think they break those rules a little bit. I think Helen seems pretty savvy.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I think surface level, like everything about her character, like seems like she would die first, but she really develops and she puts up a great fight.
Yeah. I want a prequel to this movie. Maybe like I Don't Know What You Did Last Summer Yet. Something like that.
But I'm
where
gonna
we
try to find out.
have like kind of Sex in the City. Helen Shivers takes Manhattan. Like, I want to know what happened to her. She moves off to New York to pursue being a serious actress.
I think
What
it's
happened?
called Gossip Girl.
Not to get off on a tangent, but I think there needs to be more New York City scary movies.
Ooh, cops.
I mean, I do like New York City set things, but I just want to know, Helen, what happened? Why'd you give up so early? Let me tell you, being a performer, it's a grind. Helen, if you weren't cut out for it, that's fine.
Weak.
But you got to be on the grind. And it looked like her family had some money. So I would assume that wasn't the issue. She's kind of like a daddy's girl type.
Where do you think she lived in the city?
In 97, I don't think I know enough about the layout of the city. I'm saying, like, where were the young people living in 97? Because now it's Washington Heights, but in 97.
Like the Upper West Side.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the movie I want to watch. Like, no killer, just like her. She gets out of the bus and the camera's spinning around her and she's like, oh.
I bet she lived in Jersey. She probably did. That's probably why she left before a year.
Yeah.
Oh, because that sucks.
That
makes sense.
So let's talk a second about Scream. So Scream was released a year prior to this, also written by Kevin Williamson, and there was a whole debacle between Dimension and who released this?
Paramount.
Parker, you might have to look into that later and edit this.
It's Paramount.
Paramount?
I Know What You Did Last Summer was distributed by Columbia Pictures. Suck it, Caroline.
So they got in a little debacle because they had put on the poster for I Know What You Did Last Summer from the creator of Scream, and Dimension, who group of Miramax, Weinsteins.
Weinstein.
They sued this company because they were like, no, this isn't from the creator of Scream. That's our property and it's from Wes Craven. And even Kevin Williamson wasn't happy with that. But that's just a little tidbit for you. What's intriguing to me is that Scream comes out and it kind of revamps how the slasher is because it's commenting on slashers. And so it introduced the 90s craze for having these like metatextual commentaries on the overdone, overwrought genre slasher movies, and started a craze with these teen ensemble themed horror movies. After this, there's Urban Legend, and there's The Faculty, and there's Final Destination, and things like that, all kind of a runoff of Scream. But this one was just a year afterwards. It was really close in. I think probably the biggest one released, horror movie released post-Scream. What I think is interesting is people criticize it for being a straightforward slasher and being more of what Scream parodied. But I wonder, it may not be a horror comedy like Scream is, but it becomes like an I know what's going to happen and the film knows that we know type of movie. And I think that it immediately, like, even if it's not intentionally as intelligent, I think it appears more intelligent simply because Scream existed before it. Like that it had to know what it was doing because Scream existed. Does that make sense? I don't think I'm getting my
So
words
in
out.
a way, a parody created an actual formula.
Yeah, almost like you have the 80s, then you break the 80s, and then I Know What You Did Last Summer is already like an homage nostalgia play for the 80s. Like, I almost think that I Know What You Did Last Summer is just as meta as Scream is, but simply by being a slasher and not being as jokey about it as Scream.
That's a little too far for me.
Yeah.
Layers. I think that after Scream was released, I don't think you can possibly have a slasher without it being self-aware. Scream changed the game so much that you couldn't make a slasher without it having some sort of self-commentary. And I think I Know What You Did Last Summer is smarter about that than people give it credit for.
Well, they're not trying to go off of the formula. Like, stray from...
Stray
from the formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They made a choice not to try to switch it up.
Yeah, but because it's following the formula, they're commenting on the formula.
Yeah, it works.
Dude.
Those jump scares still got me.
Also, I think it's strange that, 42% from critics, so I'm not surprised, especially because Rotten Tomatoes is just now starting to incorporate more critics from, like, genre-oriented outlet.
Publications?
Yeah. They're starting to pull more critics from, like, genre-based publications so that they're having a more varied opinion of movies, like horror films. What shocks me, though, is this 40% audience score. I think this movie deserves a little more love. I think it is wonderful. Now, when they were making this movie, I saw multiple comments from interviews and things about Jim Gillespie, the director, not wanting this to be a super gory movie. And he had to make some concessions for producers who wanted it to be scarier. One was that when Helen's sister dies, the throat slash was going to be off camera, and they wanted it gory. So his kind of midway meeting for them was you see her head snap to the side and the blood squirt on the window next to her. I actually really like that. I think
then
it's
he's
a
like
cool effect.
lugging her through the store. I thought that was...
Yeah. Well, also there's another, when Max dies and he cuts the hook up through the bottom of his chin. It's pretty gross. I think there are some gross things, but I wonder, besides some language, I think this is on like the cusp of being a PG-13. I don't think it necessarily goes all out, kind of like Scream does, getting its R rating. I doubt there was any fights with it being, you have to make it R, not NC-17, like Scream had. I think that's the one thing for me that could have been better, because I like a little gore. I like people getting a little ripped up, I also I like seeing the main character go through stuff. I want to know that not only mentally but physically they'll never be the same. And I think that Julie gets off a little too easy in the end. Yeah, she had to crawl through some ice. That was probably uncomfortable, but come on.
With dead people in it?
Here's a question.
She needs a good scar or something.
Do you wish that Julie would have died over Helen?
Oh, hell yeah. Helen, yeah. Now, you had mentioned the end, the slicker fisherman jumping through the mirror at Julie. I think that's a big surprise, because a lot of things would have left it at creepy. No, you hear him flick the little charm that spins. For me, I think that would have been a pretty regular way to roll the credits.
Charm?
Yeah, he has that little ching, ding. You hear that spin.
Definitely thought that was the hook that whole time.
No, you hear him spin that at the end. And I think that would be a pretty typical way to roll credits. But they take it a little bit further, which Jim Gillespie didn't want. Apparently, original cut, she gets an email that says, "I still know she did last summer, roll credits." Boring. Maybe if then he had jumped out of the computer screen, Freddy Krueger style. But no. This is what we got. And y'all both jumped when he jumped out of that mirror. I think, in the vein of Carrie and Friday the 13th, this is a pretty good addition to the final jump scare. You both screamed, so I know it gotcha.
Yeah.
Classic.
We have good entries for our most memorable murders. Who do you think takes the cake?
Helen.
Yeah.
Helen.
I'd have to say Helen. She put up a good fight.
Moment of silence for Helen.
At summer's end, I plan to move to New York City, where I'll pursue a career as a serious actress. It's my goal to entertain the world through artistic expression. Through art, I shall serve my country.
I'm sorry, but the guy in the slicker underneath the tarp just really that whole scene.
Oh yeah, that was good. And he like jumped. There's some sort of cut where he jumps at like super speed at her. That scared me.
And
a
then
little bit,
rolls on the floor for like 5 minutes. In the
he didn't
tarp.
plan it out. He couldn't get out of the plastic.
He's like, "Ha! I'm gonna get her with this one. Shoot."
Shoot.
Something real fast that I thought was interesting is that we spend the whole movie wondering who the killer is, but you can tell that he's like a tall, older man underneath that slicker. So I don't know what we were thinking, because I went through the same thing the first time too, where I was like, oh, is it Ray? Is it blah? We see that it's a man, so they really play some games with us.
I don't know. Sometimes movies make it out to be like
He's got some meaty hands.
I know, but sometimes in movies that happens and then it's like, oh, it was the woman the whole time. Oh.
So you already said nothing will haunt your dreams tonight, but what would you say could? What's the scariest, horroriest part? Horroriest of I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I would say definitely when the guy's underwater and he opens his eyes. That was creepy.
I'll say something that always gets me in movies is, and this one doesn't quite do it the way other ones have, but when it keeps showing the crack in Helen's closet door and you know he's watching.
Ooh, yeah.
Now in other movies, maybe you get an eyeball watching, and that I have nightmares about that, like a little eyeball in the closet door crack, but it still spooked me.
I think just like hitting someone on the road really freaks me out.
Yeah, just that like, oh my God, I've done something that I can never recover from. What am I going to do?
And then like if you do call the police, like, do you just sit in your car and wait? Or like, do you,
I don't want to think about
do you
it.
help the guy on the side of the road? I don't know. It just,
Well, if he's dead, not much you can do. So I think that our rating system is flawed and it means nothing. So instead of doing a number score, I want to test out giving this movie a smash or a slash.
Which one's good?
that's what I said.
No, it's like smash or pass. Smash is like, yeah,
Have
I'd
sex
fuck it.
with.
And then
Oh.
slash is like, take a knife to it. Say no. So either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. A smash or a slash.
It's a smash.
I would say like an unpassionate smash.
Yeah, just kind of like
Just
you
a-
just kind
like
of
a-
stare up at the ceiling the whole time.
Yeah, a pity one night stand.
Oh yeah. I'd say I'd give this a pretty hard smash.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
like this type of
Eye
movie.
contact smash.
Eye contact, maybe get on top a little bit.
Oh no. There
Yeah.
we go.
All
Put some
right,
energy
all right,
in.
Okay.
Put some energy into that smash. All right, so 3 smashes. What do you think about that rating system? You like that?
I like it.
Let's give it a
I
try.
think
Let's
giving
give it a
it-
ride.
I think,
All right.
Audience, let us know what you think.
yeah, you can send us an email at scarymoviepod@gmail.com or contact us through our website, scarymoviepod.com. Since it's now season 2, I thought we would all start with a clean slate for our favorite scary movies. So last season, Ian, what was your favorite scary movie?
Midsummer.
Same.
And mine was Scream, but no longer. They're gone.
That
Now-
means Parker's actually going to have to change his.
I know. What could happen? I don't
Yeah.
know. And maybe someday we'll have a battle of the favorites. But for now, Ian, what's your favorite scary movie?
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Caroline?
I don't really have a choice, but I know what you did last summer.
Look, someone ask me.
What's your favorite, Parker?
Oh, it's pretty tough, but I'm going to go with I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Also, for reference, we've really changed in one season of these episodes. So much so that while we were gone this summer, we purchased Midsummer.
Wow.
That's how
You
much
know-
we liked it.
We loved it. We also watched of our own free will Haunting of Hill House.
And you went to the theaters to see Ready or Not.
We did in Bulgaria.
Speaking of those changes, do you have anything else you want to fill us in? What's your review of Ready or Not, smash or slash?
Still a passionate smash, but only a one-night stand.
This one's passionate, though.
Yeah, like not unpassionate, but like I was into it.
So I know what you did last summer is unpassionate.
Yeah.
And Ready or Not is passionate.
Maybe
it's a good night.
Like halfway passionate.
Okay, this is already getting out of hand.
It's a smash.
Yeah.
What else you do this summer? So you've been abroad, traveling. Actually, you've been in the grave. But what were you doing in there?
So Ian and I checked off a few more countries while we were away. We went to Ireland, Romania, Bulgaria on a life nomading trip with 6 other guests with us. And then we went to Portugal and Spain. I got 7 stitches in my head from a wakeboarding accident in Bulgaria.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more about that.
Oh, let me tell you about a scary scene. That's the Bulgarian emergency room.
And try being the boyfriend of the person bleeding out.
Oh
in
my,
front of
I
your
was
face.
not bleeding out. Also, I'm pretty sure Ian was more emotionally scarred than I was.
I mean, listen, you're in the middle of the sea. You're bleeding.
I was fine. I calmly got out of the water and I was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And Ian was like almost vomiting, had to like step away and like get his breath. And it's okay because I love him, and the one that he loves the most was in harm's way. And so I very much so appreciate that.
Wakeboarding, would you do it again?
Yeah.
With a helmet.
Yeah, with a
Bulgarian emergency room, would you do it again?
I gotta say, that was a great experience.
Yeah, y'all have some good stories.
Not a great experience, but like a good story. There was a man that walked in that had got trampled by a horse.
Ooh.
You wanna write a scary movie? Go to the Bulgarian emergency room.
There was okay.
Hey, don't give away your ideas.
First of all, the room that I got my stitches in, there's like 7 beds in one hospital room. And there was this in the corner, an elderly man in a diaper screaming and wailing and rolling around on his bed. And then directly across from me was this silent Bulgarian elderly woman. But she had her head wrapped up and there was just blood all over her and down like her dress. And she was just like sitting there looking at me. I was like, oh my God. And it looks like a war hospital in there.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
But you're fine.
I'm fine.
Well.
So if you want
maybe
stitches in the back of your head,
damage.
join us on a life nomading Bulgaria trip.
No, you won't get stitches.
Just kidding. Helmets required.
Or maybe you'll have like a fun time instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did not see it, Chapter 2.
No, we didn't.
That's a shame. But you know what we did watch the other day? In the Tall Grass on Netflix.
We did.
Now, smash or slash?
Slash.
I'd give it like a soft smash.
Really?
Yeah. And you can read my review on it at scarymoviepod.com/reviews.
It was a little bit too much for me. You know what In the Tall Grass is? It's like someone in a bar that like it's getting close to last call and you're like, I think I would smash, but then the lights turn on at the last moment and you're like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah, there were some things that didn't work.
Yeah.
If you want to know what we're going to be watching in the future on What's Your Favorite Scary Movie, we have updated our calendar for what we'll be watching for the rest of the year on our website. And before we go, I'll go ahead and spoil what we'll be watching next week so you can get a head start. We will be watching the very autumnal, very festive Trick or Treat, the anthology from Michael Dougherty.
Ooh.
Very excited about that. And until then, my name is Parker Heron. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Letterboxd if you want to know my thoughts on other movies at Parker Del Rey.
Caroline Lloyd. You can find me on Instagram and like maybe once in a blue moon on Twitter at Caro Manifesto.
And I'm Ian Hoyt, and you can find me on YouTube at Ian Hoyt.
And you can find all things What's Your Favorite Scary Movie on Twitter and Instagram at Scary Movie Pod. We've got some cool stuff going up on our social media, including links to our reviews. If you want to stay up to date, you can find us on Facebook too. You can read our reviews, see our calendar, even make a donation at scarymoviepod.com. And you can contact us if you have any thoughts or opinions at scarymoviepod@gmail.com. And what the hell, we didn't even read a review. But we will next time because we've got them just flowing in. But you can get a shout out on our next podcast if you go and leave a rating and a review.
And pay $5.
No, it's free. It's really helpful if you go leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. So do it. And then other people will listen too, and we'll be able to do more cool stuff. Bye.